Bismillah, alhamdulillah, Allahumma salli ala Muhammad. We want to speak about the ayat of hijab. So, we had the ayat of zina and adultery, fornication. We had the ayat of ifk, slander, consequences. We have to speak about the ayat of hijab now. You could see that we had the ayat of isti'adhan too. Seeking permission before you enter a house, right? So the sunnah is when a person approaches a house, the person has to say Assalamu alaikum, meaning convey the greetings loudly or audibly, we can say, and after audibly conveying the greetings, then the person should wait for a reply. So it's not right that a person, after conveying the greetings, doesn't give the person of the house a chance to reply. You'll understand that. We must give the person a chance to reply. So let's say, for example, like some of the scholars, well, this is not directly from hadith, but this is common sense, right? Because the Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, he didn't have to give us every single detail in life. He gave us the framework, he gave us the foundation, he gave us more than we actually needed, mashallah. And Allah gave us common sense to be able to join the dots. Okay, like for example, we know we're going to eat. We're going to eat, right? When you sit to eat, Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam showed us, before you eat, what you should do, wash your hands. How to sit and how not to sit. He told us that. He told us what types of food we should eat, what type of food we shouldn't eat. What to say before eating. What to say while eating, during eating. How to share meals with other people while they're sitting and eating. How much to eat. Which hand to use while you're eating, which hand not to use. We got all this from Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. What he didn't tell us, you have to chew, because that's common sense, right? You don't understand that. Common sense is going to tell you you have to chew. Now, after chewing, you have to swallow. Nabi Sallallahu, did he have to tell us that? He didn't have to tell us that. That's common sense. That's like natural. Now, the reason why I'm letting you all know this, well, even after eating, Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam even told us, miswak, wash your hands, all of that. Supposed to be common sense, because that's fitrah. Fitrah is like the natural inclination of man. This is fitrah. Fitrah is natural inclination of man. What common sense is supposed to tell you. And Rosa, you sit down in the crowd now. You're always leaning on something. Come to the crowd. Leave the leaning for the old people, for the people who need to lean, right? When you're young, if you build a habit from now to be leaning on stuff, then it's going to affect your mind. You always have a lazy mentality. Always. So there are many things Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam didn't have to tell us, because fitrah, which is your natural instinct, the natural inclination of man to do something, it will guide you to do that, right? To guide you to know that. But even then, there are some things according to fitrah Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam did tell us, because he wanted to have so much mercy on us. He even told us. Now, so there are some people, I won't really call names of people, but these people, somehow they negate the existence of common sense, right? And they call themselves, scholars or people of deen, like, so if it is you're going to do something in deen, and you're going to say, well, that's just common sense, they will tell you, well, where you get that hadith from? You understand? Where you get that proof from? Prove that, right? So some of the natural behaviors of man, which becomes part of your deen, you don't have to get proof for it because common sense already tells you that. So somebody gonna tell you, okay, a man, we have the ayat of isti'adhan here, going to seek permission from somebody's house, right? We didn't hear from the Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam how much time to leave in between each salam, because the hadith, very famous hadith, mentions you make 3 salams, and if nobody gives a reply, then you leave, and you leave. Okay? So some people, because they didn't find a specified period of time in between each salam that was taught to us by the Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, some people just stand up at the door, Assalamu alaikum, Assalamu alaikum, Assalamu alaikum, akhi. No reply, go. Because these people didn't find it in a hadith a certain timing that you have to stop in between salams, so they didn't bother to use their common sense, and they just did things without sense, right? So this is where the knowledge of fiqh comes in. The knowledge of fiqh, right? So the knowledge of fiqh gives you the ability to use logic, meaning proper sound logic, and you can add, or you could put together all the lessons of hadith and Quran and come up with a map for your life. A map, that's what fiqh is, a map for your dini life, right? So some people have more fiqh than others. You'll understand that. It's something given to people by Allah. So we used to hear the ulama giving different opinions. Our elders, our satira, our ustad used to give different opinions. Of course, they didn't get these opinions from hadith or Quran, but the opinions came from their understanding of fiqh, the understanding of the culture of people, the understanding of the nature of people. They gave opinions. So for example, they said, some would say, in between each salam, you should give that amount of time. If a person is in the washroom, you should have enough time to finish and attend to the door, right? That's all that common sense. So what the hadith for that is, you understand? What the proof is, we don't need a proof because it's common sense. Okay? Some people will tell you, bid'ah, you know it doesn't make sense, but that is what fiqh, that's the guidance fiqh gives you. Or, so then we have some of our asatid that will tell us, give a person enough time in between each salam. If the person is performing salat, you give him enough time to perform 2 rakats or 4 rakats. You'll understand that, right? You'll understand that, right? That is common sense. So we don't rush the salam or the isti'adhan. You give the person enough chance to respond. Okay? Because our person will be busy with anyhow. And if a person is busy with other things besides that, he want to come at it though. Right? You're going to come at it though, so you have to understand. You have to understand that. So that is isti'adhan, seeking permission, and if people don't allow you to come in, then you go, you leave. So we already discussed that yesterday, correct? Yeah. Allah says, when qila lakum irji'u farji'u, if you seek permission and it is told to you, hey, what, don't come today, come some other time, then leave. That is better for you, meaning leaving is better for you than sitting at the person's door, right? Leaving is better for you to do than sitting at the person's door. Allah knows exactly well what you are doing. Meaning, Allah bima ta'amununa alim, Allah knows exactly what you are doing. Whether you entering forcefully, whether you imposing yourself on that person, whether you are entering without the person's permission, mashallah. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala could take you to task for those things. Laisa alaykum junahun, there is no harm upon you. Anta tadkhulu buyutan, to enter a building, ghayra maskunatin, in which people don't live. fiha mata'un lakum, in which there are some mata, some benefit, or some of your belongings. So some of your belongings are there, and nobody lives in that building, and you need to get your belongings out, so you could enter. Okay? So they mention here like places where people don't live. Let's say, for example, you have to, it's very cold or it's very hot and you need to take a shade by somebody's garage shed or at the shade at a wall. Okay, you can do that if it is needed. You'll understand that if it is needed. Or a masjid, people don't live here, so you can enter without seeking permission. Okay? Let's say, for example, a motel or a hotel. Because people don't live there, people that stay there temporarily. You don't need to really seek permission, unless, of course, it's the room that somebody has booked. So, again, you don't need much tafsir to let you know what these rules or what this ayat is referring to. وَاللَّهُ يَعْلَمُ مَا تُبْدُونَ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows very well what you people are doing openly, وَمَا تَكْتُمُونَ, and what you people are doing hiddenly. So when some people may probably want to use this ayah to do wrong things, so they find technicalities, you know, like, okay, like for example, I'm gonna give all the example that some of you all are guilty or are possible of being guilty of doing, right? So you see the ayat of Quran, you can't enter somebody else's houses without the permission, right? We know that. That's clear cut. You're not going into somebody else's house. If you enter, it's trespassing. Now before I give you the example, Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam saw someone peeking through his door, a crack or a small space in the door. The Sahaba wanted to see what Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam is doing in his house secretly so he could learn something, whatever intention he had. He had a good intention, but the approach wasn't nice. Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam saw him, and Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam had a stick in his hand inside the house, and Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam was pointing with him like with a stick. You know, pick it through my door, I could knock out your eye. I could stick it in your eye. And Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam did also say in a hadith very clearly, if one of you picks through a hole and someone pokes out your eye, then don't blame anyone except yourself. In Islam, if somebody knocks out your tooth, there's a diya, there's a recompense to pay. If somebody knocks out your eye, there's an amount to pay for that to a diya. Right? But if you are peeking through a hole that you're not supposed to peek through, peeking through a person's window, you're not supposed to peek through the person's window. You'll understand that, right? The window is high, and you're going and you put your hand on the ledge and you're lifting to sneak a peek through the window. You'll understand? Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam did say, if somebody pokes out your eye, then you are to blame. And the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam didn't say if you get your eye poked out. He said the person who catches you peeking, he should poke out your eye. You'll understand that? The person who catches you peeking, he should poke out your eye for peeking over his wall. So, you know, a person making pull-ups over somebody's wall, and then somebody hit you with a hose in your head, and you fall down, you know, in a drain or something, and that is your problem. Right? You understand that? So the person can't feel sorry for you. the person shouldn't feel sorry for you. Leave it right there. Because this is how important isti'adhan is. You'll understand that. There's a famous narration where Umar bin Khattab radiyallahu anhu, he heard about a man, because Umar bin Khattab used to make a little bit. Yeah. Let's pause. Oh, no, leave it run.
Yes,
Huh?
you can just tell them now.
Oh, we pause it for 1 minute, inshallah. I'll be back. Inshallah. And let's fix this up, man. Okay, so Umar bin Khattab anhu would make his rounds, make his patrols in Medina during the nights. Different Sahaba would accompany him. Abdul Rahman bin Auf sometimes. Salim, his servant. Different persons would accompany Umar bin Khattab. So on one occasion he's hearing parang, you know, not parang, but you know, he's saying some music in Medina. Umar bin Khattab radiyallahu anhu, he got angry, and he jumped this man's wall, but this man is playing music in Medina, and you have a tanti singing for him. So Umar bin Khattab jumped this man's wall, and he saw this man in his yard, his backyard or front yard, in his compound, and he's drinking, and he's have this girl, this chick, singing for him, and she's playing some musical instrument or whatever. So Umar bin Khattab got angry with him, and telling him, and shouting at him, how is it that you could spend your night doing haram like this? One is drinking wine and entertaining yourself in this haram way. So the man says, wait. Before you rush to judge me, I did 2 haram, but you did 3 harams. Right? Because one is you entered without isti'adhan, giving salams. Right? You say enter without my permission. That is one. And 2, you were spying on what I was doing. So firstly you didn't seek permission before you entered. Right? That is one. Secondly, you entered without permission. So not seeking permission before entering is a sin. A second sin is entering without getting permission. You're forcefully entering. And thirdly, what you're doing is you're spying. Umar bin Khattab kept quiet, and he left. Went back. Because the man he was right. I did 2 sins, but you already did 3 sins. And when Umar bin Khattab saw the man in the masjid, Umar called him the next day, and the man said, okay, well, is it for me? Right? And when he came to Umar whispered in his ears, whatever happened last night, I have not told anybody about it. And mashallah, the man made tawbah from his sins due to Umar treating him in that way. Inshallah. Because afterwards Umar could have sent people to the man's house to go and confiscate stuff and break down his door or whatever, but Umar didn't do it. Gee, so oh yeah, another sin is the man told Umar that you entered my house over my wall, not through my door. Right? That's another sin Umar committed. So yeah. So okay, let me say, for example, you all know the ayat of isti'adhan. Ayat of isti'adhan, right? which is to seek permission. If it's a house that people live in, you have to seek permission before you enter. If there's no permission, then you leave, right? Okay? Then we have the next ayat saying, if it is a building where people don't usually live, but there's some benefit for you in that building, or some purpose for you to enter it, then you can enter. But then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is keep on telling us, Allah knows very well what you people are doing. Allah knows also what you do openly, what you do hiddenly. Because some people will look to find loopholes in between. So Allah is saying, I don't have to give you every single dot and every single cross. You have to get those two ayat and understand in between what you can do, what you can't do. Common sense lets you know that. So some of you might say, now, well, Allah didn't tell me anything about going in the toilet. So some of you might say, well, in the time of the Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, he didn't have men toilet and ladies toilet. Everybody toilet was the same. Some of you now would say people don't live in a toilet, right? And if you want to use a toilet is a toilet. So some of you might want to sneak in the ladies' toilet. Ladies there or ladies not there, right? And in case you peek at something, you would say, well, you didn't do that for spite. It happened. You could not lower your gaze, or you could not higher gaze. You just peek, but you went in there to use it. And you can't give salam when going in the toilet because that is wrong. You understand that? So some people are gonna use this ayat and find a loophole to do wrong, to do stupidness. You understand that? Right? And Elias? And then we're gonna say, well, that is not haram because it's still within the ayat. Allah says you could enter once people not live in there. Right? Right? But of course, common sense is going to tell you it's wrong. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is giving you that in Quran. Doesn't have to letter out every single detail for you. You have to use your intelligence to understand the general meaning of the ayah. You understand that, right? That's the reason why Allah ta'ala gave us intelligence. So we could use our intelligence to look at the bigger picture when He just gives He gives like the framework and we have to fit it in. Qul lil mu'minin, say to the believers, Yaguddu min absarihim, lower your gazes from those things which are not halal for you to look at. Okay? Like what? What is not halal for you to look at, Elias? Chocolate and cookies while fasting. That was not halal to look at now. I'm not hearing you. So a non-mahram woman. Unless you make the woman mahram. Yeah? Uh-huh. If the woman has cut up jeans, like torn up jeans, and what? Half tops, tank tops, a tank top. Did she have a hijab but she has a tank top? So we are allowed to watch a woman with the hijab, but not the tank top one.
Because it will cause problems with the emotions and hormones.
Very good, Nat. Very good. MashaAllah. Nat says because it will cause problems with your emotions and hormones. Good. Okay, Nat. Very good. So any so any non-mahram woman we should lower our gaze, even because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala didn't specify that the males must do it alone, meaning females too must do it. So there are some tantis, or tantis should also, the sisters should also be lowering their gazes. You'll understand that. Just like the male lower the gaze, the sister should lower the gaze. Now, lowering the gaze means that you turn your gaze away. Because sometimes, if you end up lowering the gaze, you might see more than if your gaze was up. If you center the gaze also, you're still seeing stuff. So turn away, you have to turn away. Turn away. Turn away. So whether it's men turning their gazes away from women, or women turning their gazes away from men, of course, like, if suddenly something comes into your gaze, you turn away. That sudden look, Allah would forgive it, because you didn't do it intentionally, you didn't prolong it, you didn't sit down and like enjoy it. You know.
If you see here, so you say turn out, you put your front turn on, and then the next time you see something.
Well, then you leave the area. If you're surrounded, the married one, and they leave with you. That's all. It's just, yeah, if you're surrounded, this married one, and leave with you, that she will save you from the rest.
Some people say the first look is not
But how it is you end up surrounded now? The zombie horde or something? Huh? You sleep away in the washroom, Muslim? In the ladies' washroom? You sleep... Huh? Muslim, what a bunch of naked ladies going to be doing in KFC? Oh. Well, mashallah. Well, as I said, they don't have to go into all of those dots and crosses, because common sense is going to dictate what you should do, what you shouldn't do, right? Then Allah says, وَيَحْفَظُونَ فُرُوجَهُمْ وَيَحْفَظُوا فُرُوجَهُمْ, and we should protect our private areas, like Nat said, protect your hormones and your emotions. أَمَّا لَا يَحَلُّ لَهُمْ فِعْلَهُ بِهَا. So, from fornication, from adultery, because you saw it in the beginning, the harms of it. So one way of staying away from adultery is lowering the gaze, because if you didn't lower the gaze and you were staring, that's what actually brought you to do the adultery. Now, would be la. You understand that? If a person didn't stare, then he wouldn't really want to do adultery, because it's the eyes and the gaze that makes the first call. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is well informed about what people are doing, right? Whether they are doing it with their eyes or their private areas. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will make them give account for that. وَقُلْ لِلْمُؤْمِنَاتِ يَغْضُضْنَ مِنْ أَبْصَارِهِنَّ. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling the male and females, as I said, Allah didn't specify only males. One ayat is speaking about males, second ayat is speaking about females. That the males must lower their gaze, because we know men like to have their gaze trained. And the second ayat, Allah talks about the women. So the women also, they are also vulnerable to have their gaze trained, right? And to protect their private areas. Then Allah says, وَلَا يُبْدِينَ زِينَتَهُنَّ إِلَّا مَا ظَهَرَ مِنْهَا. Their zina, their adornment, women's adornment, should not be made open and displayed openly, except that which is naturally open. So like the face, the palms of the hands, the feet, those are things which are naturally left open. Now some of the scholars they say there is some allowance. Now this is a long topic here. There is some allowance to look at a woman, a strange woman, if there is no fear of fitna. So let's say Tanti already passed like the state of menopause, and Tanti in her 60s or 70s, Tanti's like grandmother or great grandmother. Generally, not saying all the time, generally, right? Not wouldn't want to gaze at that Tanti, right? Generally. Generally. I'm not saying all the time, so generally. So, so you know, so you could meet auntie and you could talk to auntie, no problem with that. As long as you have that understanding, inshallah. But you know, as long as there's no fear of fitna, right? So, so for example, you may see a sister wearing hijab, the face is exposed, the hands are exposed, and yes, she's covered properly, but because the sister's face is attractive, the voice is attractive, so even looking at her, even wearing hijab, can become a fitna for you and a problem for you. You understand that? Right? Of course, let's say a doctor has to treat a certain issue with a woman, so he's a male doctor and he has to look at other parts of her body that normally be covered, her arms, right, her shin, her legs, whatever it might be, the back, and there's no other doctor or there's no female doctor qualified in that field, and the sister has to get the treatment done, then it is permissible only for that purpose. And also, it is also, as we said, it will be definitely preferable, if not compulsory at some times, that the male relative of the lady has to be present. You'll understand that, right? You'll understand that, right? So every single situation will be judged differently according to the need of the situation, inshallah ta'ala. Okay? Now, a woman is not expected to sit down in a box or stand up in a box and make two holes and walk around. So, just to cover her entire self. No. As long as she wears the proper hijab, she covers up as best as she could, then that is what is compulsory upon her, inshallah. The rest is up to taqwa. The rest people have to fear Allah and stay away from it, inshallah, right? وَلْيَضْرِبْنَا بِخُمُرِهِنَّ عَلَى جُوبِهِنَّ. The woman should, and the woman must throw their veils, place their veils over their juyub, the upper body, right? Upper body is like the place of the body where the tummy, the shirt normally covers, right? The shirt normally covers. So that is the head, the neck, the chest. Head, neck, and chest. This is what you would consider as the veils of the woman. وَلَا يُبْدِينَ زِينَتَهُنَّ. And their beauty should not be made open, meaning the head, the neck, the chest, other places. إِلَّا لِبُعُولَتِهِنَّ, except to their husbands, right? Firstly, their husbands, because that's the reason why the woman is beautifying herself. If she's beautifying herself for anybody besides her husband, there's something wrong with something wrong. Something could wrong with her or something could wrong with the husband. You know, as we said, the different cases could, mean different things, right? So, something is wrong with somebody or somebodies. So, she's allowed to show her zina, her hair, the neck, whatever. Everything could be shown to the husband. Now, after the husband, Allah gave the list of people, but it don't mean the list of people, everything to be shown to them. So, for example, the fathers, the brothers, the fathers, the father-in-laws, her children, the children of her husbands from different marriage, right? Or her brothers, or the sons or the children of her brothers, and the children or the sons of her sisters, or other women, or that which the right hand possesses, meaning servants. So, the servants now these other people are allowed to see her hair or her neck. But what is between the navel and the knee, it is not permissible for them to see. And of course, more modesty, a woman should also cover the rest of her body. You'll understand. So this ayat is really telling you she could take her hijab off in front of these people. Now, when a woman removes her hijab, is it everything exposed, the whole? No. And she has clothes still covering the other parts. If a man take off his shirt, well, he bare back, he's going to make cement, right? You'll understand that. A woman is different. A woman takes off her hijab, and there's still other pieces of clothing covering. So she can't cover the shape of the bust, you would call it, right? She can't cover the shape of it. So the fathers and the brothers and the sons and whoever, everybody else, even the servants, it would be allowable. It would be allowable for them to witness her in home clothes, you could say, right? You'll understand that. Everybody understand, right? The husband, of course, he could witness everything else. But you're fasting, don't go into details, right? Now, it is not permissible for Muslim women to show themselves, their home clothes, you could say, their hair and everything else, to non-Muslim women. You understand that? So non-Muslim women are not allowed to see the Muslim woman's hair and other parts of their body. We will treat a non-Muslim woman like a man. Yeah. Oh. Alright, let's stop there, inshallah, right? Time. No.